At the current moment, the Lakers sit in second place in the Western Conference, owning a 12-4 record, riding a 4-game win streak, having 10 of their 16 games on the road this far, and all around are definitely in a good spot right now. Not in a spot of desperation and desperately need a trade to address anything, but they might be in a spot of opportunity, as there are a bunch of other teams that are not in their current position. A team like the Sacramento Kings, for example, currently owning a record of 4-13, not playing well and really haven't had a bright spot yet this season, having an aging veteran team that doesn't really have a player that they're building around at this point, having guys like Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Russell Westbrook, Dennis Schroeder, and even more after that point, and all around a team that's not built for the future. They're not in a good spot right now. And well, they appear to know it too. According to multiple reports, both a new report this week and reports dating back to as far as 2 weeks ago, they're open to trading basically anyone on their entire team, or anyone that's not named Keegan Murray or Nick Clifford. But everyone from Zach LaVine, DeMar DeRozan, Domantas Sabonis, Malik Monk, Russell Westbrook, even a younger player like Keon Ellis, they might and very likely are open to trading, according to Jake Fisher. And in my opinion, this could be a great opportunity for a team like the Lakers, who again are not in a place of desperation. They don't have a losing record, let alone even a 500 or hovering around 500 record. They're currently 12-4. However, that's not to say they have a perfect team without any flaws. I think they have a couple of them, and one of them that's a pretty obvious one is their lack of two-way talent. I mean, if you point to their team and look at their current roster, they have a bunch of one-way players. Yes, many talented one-way players, obviously guys like Luka Doncic, LeBron, Austin Reeves, all of which are more offensive oriented. Yes, they can play defense and are not absolutely terrible on defense, but they don't have many two-way players and not much two-way talent to their team. Maybe with a guy like Jake LaRavia, maybe at times with a guy like Marcus Smart, though not up until this point, and I think they could definitely use a bit more of it, particularly at the wing or simply in that shooting guard small forward spot, a player that could be a 3-and-D and or a two-way wing for their team, especially more reliable two-way talent. I mean, take a guess at the amount of guys that they have shooting above 35% from 3 and ranking positively on defense per defensive BPM. Yeah, they have one, maybe two if you want to qualify a guy that's barely played for them, one of which being Gabe Vincent, shooting 35.7% from the 3-point line, also having a barely positive defensive BPM rating. Up until this point, Vincent having a plus 0.6 defensive BPM rating, the second player then being Maxi Kleber, again who hasn't played very much for them, 64 total minutes and really only 2 games of actual rotation minutes, currently having a plus 1.6 defensive BPM. On top of that is shooting 50% from 3 on 4 total attempts, being 2 of 4. So if you want to qualify him, I guess, but mainly Gabe Vincent, a slight positive in the 3-point shooting and on defense. Pretty close for Jake LaRavia, nearly 35% and ranking slightly positive per defensive BPM, but they simply have very little two-way talent. So pointing to Sacramento and the two-way talent on their team, they don't have much of it, but they do have one player in particular, a player that I think would be a great trade target and a great fit for the Lakers, or pretty much any team for that fact, though they're not currently using him. Coming off a DNP in their last game, I'm talking about Keon Ellis here. A player that's a definite two-way player, a 3-and-D player, whatever you want to call him, and a guy that's simply not getting much run with their team, but could be much more valuable to a different team like the Lakers, who I definitely am hoping they try to make a trade for. Currently this season playing 18 minutes per game, averaging 6.6 points per game, 1.6 rebounds per game, 0.6 assists per game, 1.3 steals per game, equating to nearly 3 of them per 36 minutes, shooting 44% from the field, and a very efficient 42.4% from beyond the arc, making nearly 2 of them per game, and attempting nearly 4 of them per game in only 18 minutes per game. So the question here is, would they trade him and why are they not playing him more? Well, I wish I had an answer for you, but we are talking about the Sacramento Kings here, a team that pretty much has no direction going forward, a team that willingly traded for Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan without any player that they're currently building around, and a team that really has no idea what they're doing in my opinion. So maybe try to take advantage of them and trade for Keon Ellis, a player that's currently under an expiring contract, therefore you'd have to pay him to retain him this summer, but that would also lower his trade value too. After all, the Kings have shown no willingness or sign that they want to sign him long term. I mean, they're not even playing him right now for that fact. Again, coming off a DNP. only playing 18 minutes per game this season, his lowest in 2 years now, and they're simply not committed to him, so I think they probably would be willing to trade him. And again, this report from Jake Fisher indicates that they probably would be, and they're simply not committed to him as part of their long-term future, or at least don't seem to be, so I think he might be on the trade block for the right price. The only question being, what is that price? Well, again, he is under an expiring contract, so I don't think it would take too much to get him. To simply make the trade work financially, the Lakers could swap Dalton Connect, that would make it work, but then have to throw in some draft compensation too. Maybe something like a future first-round draft pick swap. Maybe that would be enough. Maybe you'd have to throw in another one, or maybe a second-round draft pick. They do have one tradable second-round draft pick left. Maybe something like that. Dalton Connect, one future first-round draft pick swap, and one second-round draft pick might be enough to get a trade done for Keon Ellis. And in my opinion, it would be worth it. I mean, you're not losing much 3-point shooting-wise, and that's pretty much all Dalton Connect offers. I mean, this season he's not even been a good 3-point shooter. On top of that, he appears to have lost his confidence on their team. He's not part of their current rotation, whereas I think Keon Ellis definitely would be. I would make that trade, and I would give out those assets to get Keon Ellis. Like I said, he is a very good 3-point shooter, currently shooting 42.4% from beyond the arc, not to mention say 42.9% career 3-point shooter already. Only 4 years in the NBA and has been very reliable, has yet to shoot under 41% from the 3-point line. On top of that is a great defender, much better than Dalton Connect and pretty much every other backcourt player on their team. Better than Luka Doncic, Austin Reeves, even Gabe Vincent in my opinion. Probably second to only Marcus Smart on their team, and even that could be arguable. But overall I think Keon Ellis will be a major upgrade for their team on both offense and defense too. I mean, whether you're talking about the basic stats with him, like I said, averaging nearly 3 steals per 36 minutes, or the advanced stats with him, they definitely favor him, again on both ends of the court. Up until this point has been a plus 2.0 defensive BPM player. That's very impressive, especially playing for a pretty average at best team over the past half decade. On top of that, it's a very good passing lane guy, not only with steals per game but also deflections, currently averaging over 3 of them per game, rating in the 95th percentile per craftednba.com, rating at a 5.7 deflections value, also having a 2.1 crafted defensive plus minus value, that rating in the 93rd percentile. So once again, I really question why Sacramento is not playing him. With their lack of defense and being a bottom 5 defense in the NBA this season, having guys ahead of him like Schroeder and Westbrook, I don't really get it, but hey, I guess that's their problem and maybe a different team's fortune if they would trade Keon Ellis away. And yes, he might be in his 4th NBA season, but he's still only 25 years old. Will be 26 later this season, that coming in early January, but compared to a guy like Dalton Connect who's in his 2nd year and is currently 24, they wouldn't be losing much in regard to age and long-term upside here. Yes, I think Dalton Connect's not at his ceiling and definitely could be a better offensive player than Keon Ellis, but overall, and talking about their long-term future, I think it would be worth giving up assets to get Keon Ellis. Whether it's Dalton Connect and a future first-round draft pick swap, whether it's some other combination for Keon Ellis and maybe a different player with him, I think it would be worth it. Heck, you could even talk me into taking on the relatively long-term contract of Dennis Schroeder. That I have no idea why the Sacramento Kings gave him, but they did. If it meant something like Dennis Schroeder with Keon Ellis, for a combination of Gabe Vincent and Dalton Connect, which would allow the Sacramento Kings to offload future payroll off their team, again with that Schroeder contract, you could probably talk me into it. At that point, they could maybe even lower the draft compensation through a trade, if after all Sacramento is looking to rebuild and offload payroll and future veterans off their team like Dennis Schroeder, then they probably would have interest in doing this. So again, the point being here that I would have a ton of interest in trading for Keon Ellis. I think he fits their needs offensively, with them being a poor 3-point shooting team at this point, definitely fits their needs defensively, being a very good point of attack defender that can match up with some smaller wing players too. He is a good athletic defender in general, would add more athletic ability to their team, more defensive playmaking to their team, and simply fit their long-term future as well. So yes, definitely a trade for him, definitely view it as a great opportunity for their team, and one that they hopefully do investigate at the very least. But with all of that being said, what do you guys think? How do you feel about a trade with the Sacramento Kings for Keon Ellis? Do you think it would be realistic? What do you think it would take to get him? Do you think he would be a good trade target? Do you think it would be a realistic trade? And how do you think a trade negotiation would work involving them, if at all? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. But I think that'll pretty much do it for this one. And if you enjoyed the video, then I would greatly appreciate it if you dropped a like, subscribe to the channel if you have not already, and hit that notification bell to never miss out when I upload a video. But as always, thank you for watching, and have a great day or night.